Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to Lynn's Life's Lesson. On today, you know what it is. It's what?
Mental Health Monday.
Okay, so on today, it's going to be a little different. This video will be dedicated to our mom who passed on the 17th of March last year. So we're going to jump in. If you see us drop a few tears, it's okay. We're human. I don't really do a lot of editing on my videos, so I'm more natural so that you guys can see me raw and natural. And let's get started.
I love that raw and natural.
Yeah.
Again, welcome back. So today, in honor of our mom, as was said, we're going to talk briefly about grief. So you'll probably see me reference, I'll be looking down because I want to give you as much information about it and grief and mourning. So this week we will celebrate 1 year loss, and grief and mourning will look different to different people. Yes, there is the theory that grief presents itself in stages. Some conform to the 1 to 5 stage principle. Some people believe there's actually more like 7 stages of grief, and that you don't go through each and every stage of grief. It may jump around.
Okay, that's good.
But I will discuss the stages of grief with you, and I want to say this right out the gate. If this hits home for you, you're dealing with grief, and that's not just grief for death, because people immediately attribute grief to death, but anytime there is loss, you grieve. So whether it be a death, whether it be a loss of a friendship, loss of a job, loss of mobility, everybody experiences grief and mourning in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So grief is very common, and it is the normal reaction to a loss. In this case, we're going to talk about passing, transitioning. Most reference it to the loss of a loved one. Ours is a loss of a loved one. Our matriarch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with the secondary matriarch, holding it down for us, 2022. I want to speak from the perspective of what was it like for you? What did you feel when you lost mine?
It was very hard for me because my mom had come to stay with me, and she was back and forth from both of our homes, and then we had Amanda who would visit when she was able to visit her. So Amanda is the person who probably took care of mommy's, probably her, I was the appointment person. We all said things we had to do. She would transition between living with both of us. Amanda would be the person who kind of headed her medication and things of that nature, and telling us how to take care of our mom. So we had her to help us out. So it was 3 of us. We call ourselves the trio. But for me to talk about the loss of her is really hard, because I would take her to all of her appointments. That was the part for me. And even now, when I go to one of my appointments, it's across the street from the hospital that my mom passed. So it's very hard for me to go certain places. And I have 2 of my doctors are the doctors that she dealt with when she was here. So that's even harder for me, because I go to one doctor and I'm reminded of her. I go to another doctor, I'm reminded of her. I cannot express exactly how I felt, but I always tried to picture after my father died what it was gonna be like to not have my mom here, and I was trying to prepare. And as I was preparing, years ago I was preparing, because what I wanted to do was move away from where we lived. That was my biggest issue. Me and my spouse was like, we just want to move, and we wanted to move to another state, but I couldn't leave my mom, and his mom was here too. So we both didn't want to leave our mother, go too far away. So we ended up in Port St. Lucie. So that was a good thing for me, because I don't know how I could have grasped everything with being near the home and having to pass that home on a regular. Now for me, with mommy passing, it's a great loss for me, because as you lose a person, and sometimes you don't realize they are the matriarch of a family. My mom is not just the matriarch My mom was not just a matriarch of our family. My mom was a pillar to a lot of people. My mom was a minister. She's a pastor. She's a minister. And she took care of a lot of people. And my mom did a lot of things behind the scenes that a lot of us really didn't know about. And some we did know about. My mom also fed the homeless and the needy, people who needed food. She would do things for people that we still to this day don't even realize what she did. Even when we had her funeral, people came out to share a lot of things that she did that we never knew that she did. For me, it's still a great loss because she was my everything. And I thought I was closer to my father than my mother, but I didn't realize how close I was to her until after she passed. She talked to me about a lot of things. She stayed in my home, so she was able to share with her when she stayed with her things. And when she was with me, she shared things. And I miss her, but she was trying to prepare me because I'm the oldest daughter, but I'm the wimpiest daughter. I'm the one who does, I think. My two sisters are actually stronger than me. I'm the wimpy one. When they call, they hate to call me. If something is to be called or anything, I'll be the last one called because they know I'm going to be like freaking out. So they don't tell me stuff. They process it first and try to figure out how we going to ease this in on her. So yeah, I'm the wimpy one, but I'm also the strong one. As my mom has passed, I have learned to be stronger each day. There's not a day go by I don't think about her, but I can be riding and I just have to pull on the side of the road sometimes and just let my tears flow, and that's normal. And I think that's normal. Or either I'm riding down the street and I'm listening to some music and I think about me and her being in the car, and then I ride by Popeyes and she loved the Popeyes food. So it was a lot going on. And it's still a lot. I'm still processing. My children are still processing. We're still processing. And what we're trying to do as a family is just continue to stay close to each other because that's what she wanted, us to look out for each other. And by her being the baby of the family, you know, we have to look out for her too. So I'm just
Somebody
saying.
better look out for me.
Yeah, we have to look out for her. And that's what my mom kept, one of the biggest things she kept reiterating to me before she passed. Make sure you take care of her. Make sure you know, and help her and guide her because she's a strong one who does not like to ask for help. So my mom was like, she ain't gonna ask you, you have to try to make sure and check on her. So we're working with that part, but you tell me how you felt because you're the baby and towards you probably spent more time with her.
That lady was my soulmate, okay? That lady was my soulmate, okay? If my car was moving, she was in it. If it was a road trip, she was ready. She was ready. And so people will probably say, well, what do you mean your mom was your soulmate? But they think of soulmates, they think of like your spouse or something like that. But afterwards, I went to, because we lost our mom to COVID, I went to a COVID grief group to try to like settle my mind because I was all over the place. And the only thing I knew how to do was to keep going. Because I knew that she would want me to keep going. I had the kids, so I had to keep going. So that's all I knew how to do. So I went to this grief group, and I really didn't want to go because in my head, I got this. But I was suffering silently and keeping it together and trying to keep everything going. And I heard a woman say, everybody had lost their people to COVID. She said, my mom was my soulmate. And immediately within my soul, I finally knew how to explain what I was feeling. My mom was my soulmate. We did life together. And it was something that I'll never forget. My mom had so much wisdom, and her perspective was the perspective of years of everything that she had gone through. So I miss being able to go to her and talk to her about stuff. And as she got older, she didn't have very much eyelid meat. So it was a little, she had it, but it was heavy. And so her eyes would get very little when she was talking to you. And you knew if it was a serious situation, like if she felt it, because then she would stretch her eyes real wide, and I was like, okay, let's get serious. She didn't open her eyes real wide. So I did the grief group, and it really helped me. It still helped me. Because I'm gonna always be number one an advocate of mental health, and if you need counseling, get counseling.
Right.
Sometimes it's not enough to just have a family member to talk to. Because if they're in that same situation that you're in, you can't really be an effective help because you're dealing with the same thing. So having somebody outside of my whole family was what helped me in the process. The next thing that helped me was I'm pretty vocal in talking to people, so I started talking to one of the young ladies at my job who also was dealing with loss.
Right.
And my voice came back. And so over this year, I've had a lot of opportunity to refine myself without having to go to my mom and be like, Mom, what do you think? What do you feel about this? So it has been growth and development, and that is one of the parts of grief, that if you accept, you get to a point of acceptance, it can really help with your development. I found my strength again in loss. I found so much hope again in loss. Once I went through those 5 stages, and some of them 5 stages I went through every day. And on a bad day, I went through all 7 of them. I'm going to reference them really quickly because we don't want the video to be super duper long. But I went through the anger, the denial, the frustration. Whoever started recording funerals, I'm coming for you. Because there was a part of me that wanted to hold on to that. And so I would watch clips from the funeral, or I still, to this day, I still have my mom's shoes at my front door. And I don't know where she got these orthopedic diabetic shoes from, but they were this thick. And I have those there. And so I'm slowly getting to the point where I am going to be able to put the things away so that it's not so hurtful all the time. But really, really quickly, because I want people to understand that you can manage. It's not something that you're going to get over. You don't get over loss. I don't know who said that. You get over it. And whoever said it gets better every day, they lied. They lied. Especially if you don't do the work to get to a point where you can manage those feelings, then you don't. A lot of people do end up with long-term depression, PTSD, things that actively every single day affect them. That's when you know you need some help. You don't have to live in a position where every single day it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. You don't have to do that, but you can reach out and you can get help. And we, whether it be your medical doctor, whether it be online services, which we talked about here in the past.
My daughter does online. She does online.
I love it. After my mom passed away, I put my son in because he was so close to my mom. My daughter had me. I was her psychologist. So, just really quickly, if you didn't know, now you know. The stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Like I said, I went through those. I was like, Lord, why not me?
My mom.
I was angry because I just believed my mom was gonna be here forever and a day. Okay, if we was gonna go, we was gonna be here. I was waiting for the rapture, and we was gonna get out of here together. Denial, because when a person is so active in your day-to-day life, you wake up. I would wake up mornings and immediately. Same thing happened when Daddy died. Something happened on my job, and I went because I would ask him advice about
what to do and how.
I'd be like, listen, financial stuff, and I pulled up in the driveway to jump out. I was like, oh my gosh, my dad is dead. Wait a minute, hey, call William. So William has been an amazing replacement. I love you, William. But you're in denial about where you are with that. You get depressed, and finally acceptance. I don't know when acceptance clicked in for me, but I am at a point where I have accepted it because I have done the work. I've seen the growth and development. That doesn't mean that I don't still cry. That doesn't mean that there are photos in my phone that I have to really quickly scroll past because with these phones, they tell you this year, 6 years ago.
And Facebook will remind you
and
everything.
I'm like, listen, why do I turn this off on this thing? I need to turn it off. But that's the 5. The 7, that people also, it was expanded to 7. Shock or disbelief. You go into shock.
That's true.
And it doesn't always happen when you hear about the passing. It can be a delayed reaction where you wake up and you go, oh my gosh, this person is no longer here. I can't call.
Right.
Denial, bargaining. Some people feel guilt, you know, and some anger and depression.
I went through the guilt because I went through the guilt part because I felt like if I had to make her stay here and not go nowhere, if I'd had, you know, maybe she wouldn't have got COVID. I'm the one who took her to get her first COVID shot. So it was like, what did I do wrong? What did I not get her shot in time? Did I not do something right for her? And that's the part what really got me. I kept trying to figure out what did I do wrong. You know, I went through that for a while. Like,
and there wasn't anything that you could have done. I don't know about the spirituality of your viewers, but I'm just one that believes when it's your time, it's your time. And whether it had been with COVID or whether it had been with something else, if it was her date her of expiration, then it would have been something. So I'm hoping that right at this point you are better dealing with that.
Oh yeah, I'm better dealing with that, much better. Yeah, I understood. It took me a while, but I was like, you know, because I would call and then like, and she's like, well, it hurt, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to deal with it. I'm learning to deal with certain things.
Yes, so if this is something that you want to know more about, catch us in another week because this may not be the best one. But please leave comments down below if you want to know more about grief, if you want to know more resources, how to better manage grief, again, whether it be loss, your job, relationship. You know, my hope is that Mental Health Monday will help some people because
it's really been helping me.
Yeah.
So
it's helping me too.
Yeah. So just want to say, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most definitely hit that notification bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a video. And don't forget to subscribe.
Please do.
Guys, and don't forget, enjoy your day and truly be blessed and keep us in your prayers. Thank you. Bye-bye.